Hello, photography world. This is episode number 4 of the Don't Feed the Photographers Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Atlanta wedding photographer Josh Argasso, and I'm so excited to welcome my good friend Eirik Halvorsen, a destination wedding photographer out of Norway. We have a great conversation about his journey in photography, how he developed his style, and also how to consider your business goals when creating images. So he talks about some special images that he created and how those changed his business and how you need to create what you want to create in the future. Like you have to show clients the types of images that you want to be known for. So he was able to move his business in a different direction to more landscape, beautiful scenery type of clients that were interested in more grand, beautiful images, how he was able to get to that point. He also talks about serving your clients, some things that he's done to help service clients. And also we end the conversation talking a lot about what's going on in the world right now with surviving this coronavirus pandemic and his really amazing plan to help photographers and their community. And I took inspiration from that conversation, and I'm going to be doing his plan as well. So I'd love for you to stick around and listen to that, and maybe it could help change your business and help you get through these tough times. Anyway, no more delay. Let's get into it. Let's welcome Eirik to the show. Great. Eirik, thanks for coming on the show. Welcome to Don't Feed the Photographers. How you all doing over there?
Thank you for having me. We are holding up, I guess. It's a crazy time right now for all of us, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So if you are listening to this well off into the future, we are in the midst of our coronavirus crisis right now, and everybody's freaking out. So most of you probably listen to this right now in the middle of it, since you need something to do. So yeah, hopefully we'll all survive this okay. Hopefully we'll be listening to this in the future and be like, everything was great. And looking back, at nothing to worry about. Yeah, cool. So, well, Eirik, I'm definitely excited about getting to know you a little bit more. We met at a conference and got to chat a little bit, but love to learn a little bit more about your story. So we could probably start with just introducing yourself to the audience, telling us a little bit about you. Maybe how'd you get into photography?
Ooh, okay. My name is Eirik. I live in Norway, which is in the north of Europe. I am originally a musician, so I played in bands my entire life. And around 2005, I started bringing a camera to shows and try to take photos. And really, like, my mission was always to try to freeze the energy or the action or the moment at the live show. So it just happened to be that I brought the camera to shows all the time, and then bands started asking me to photograph them, and they started asking me to do like promo photos. So I invested in lighting gear and softboxes and stands and stuff, and I started to become interested in lighting. And it evolved from there. A lot of male photographers, they have to go through this model phase where they shoot models for some reason, right?
Yeah, definitely. And you get a fine line between doing it right and being that creepy guy.
Exactly. And I had no, I didn't know anything about fashion or anything. I was just interested in light, learning to shape light and making like awesome looking photos. So for me, it was just a reason to photograph, I guess. But I don't know. I learned a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Concert seems like it'd be a good, and music photography, a good opportunity to really play with light, because you can get really funky and creative.
Yeah, exactly. So after there, a couple years after, I got a part-time job at a newspaper. So I still had a day job at this time. And the newspaper really taught me the respect for photography. So I learned seeing my photos printed in the newspaper the day after, it made me realize that a photograph is actually telling a story or delivering a message to other people in the future. Yeah. So it made me understand the importance, I guess, of photography. And also, no matter what light or weather or conditions there were, I had to come back with a photo because it was going to be printed.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why photojournalism is one of the best exercises for photographers, because you're not allowed to change anything or control anything.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to manipulate with just your eyes and your feet, and that's probably the coolest. So it's the opposite experience probably with music, where you can do whatever you want. I mean, if you're watching a concert, it's almost photojournalistic in a way, but you can have a band set up the lights. You're being full control and creative versus no control and creative, and trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. And also I find the same chaos that you find in photojournalism in weddings. It's basically the same. Like you can't control it. You just have to adapt all the time. You have to use all your photographic skills to try to make something out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the best training for photography. And I think that's why a lot of people like I admire and look up to, a lot of them have photojournalism backgrounds or figured it out along the way how to think like a photojournalist. Because it's definitely that chaos on a wedding day, trying to make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
It's a fun challenge. Yeah. But weddings a lot of times is easier because you get a lot, like we say it's make something out of nothing, but you got people all dressed up in beautiful venues with fancy clothes. So there's usually something to work with. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But there are also difference between weddings. Like some weddings are like you walk into a blog post, right? And everything just looks like a scene or whatever. And other weddings are like in the basement of a community building or something. And,
Yeah.
you just really actually have to make something out of nothing.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy the challenge of those. I don't know what is your favorite to go to a venue that's well, I guess everybody would say we want it to be easy to a certain extent, but maybe like a venue that's super fancy and everywhere you look is eye candy, or maybe a venue that's challenging but you got like the best couple ever.
It's a good question, but I think I will go for the best couple ever. I mean, it's the people that really drive me, and I can photograph people basically wherever. It's that I want to make something out of, not all the pretty flowers and decorations and lights, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think I feel the same way. I think that's probably a progression that photographers go through. Maybe when you're a beginner, it's like, I got to go to Iceland and shoot. I can't, I got to have a beach. I have to have epic places. And then now I find myself using less and less. I still like getting environmental stuff, but I get close to the couple and get the intimate. So if you have a couple that's laughing and smiling and just really into each other, you can make great stuff without any scenery. So it's kind of an interesting progression.
Yes. And just to elaborate on my kind of origin story or finish it up. So after the newspaper, I shot a few weddings before my own wedding. I got married in 2012. And I think in my own wedding, it was when I understood what wedding photography actually is. We hired Jeff Newsom to shoot our wedding. So
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the middle of my own wedding day, I had this huge epiphany or paradigm shift happening, because I always looked at wedding photography as this embarrassing type thing, like all of these awkward photos. It's just like weird stuff. But I think Jeff really opened the door of a different way of thinking. Like you can actually travel around the world, you can meet awesome people, they can bring you on to stuff and you can call it a job. Right? So
Yeah,
that's the first time I looked at wedding photography as something I could actually pursue, because before my own wedding, I photographed everything, right? The only tiny bit of goal I had, or like a direction I wanted to take, was portrait photography type, Time magazine cover, or those like shooting those businessmen or actors or whatever. But I never really pursued it. So in my own wedding, I got the chance to see things in a different perspective. And after that, I just really started honing in and try to specialize into wedding photography.
Oh, cool. That's actually a really cool tidbit there. So so you weren't into weddings before that. So how did you decide on Jeff Newsom? Was he as big back then, or was it just a chance that he became this guy that
So I started following his blog. Like, he wasn't big on social media, I think. And I don't remember how I first encountered his blog. I think it was in 2010. And I saw these wedding photos and it blew my mind. It's like, I never seen wedding photography like this before. So since he didn't use any social media properly, I always I typed his URL to his blog post like every week to see if he had posted anything new. And when me and my wife got engaged, I said, hey, I know about a photographer. So we discussed it, we looked at his website, and I said, I don't really care if we have mashed potatoes for dinner and like just sausages or whatever.
Yeah.
We have to find a way to get this guy here.
Nice. Yeah. Guess what, everybody? We're going to have SpaghettiOs with hot dogs, and we're gonna have the best photography ever. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So, so I guess I could see being somebody as a creative photographer, seeing his style, how it would stand out to you even before you're into weddings, because he does a lot of cool, colorful and unique things.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I'm curious to go look at your wedding photos and see I could probably find him on his blog. And that's the other funny thing about Jeff is like, he never posts anything on social media. He's such like, and he's doing really well, probably because his work is so good. And all these
Mm.
people are finding him on accident. Even in person, he's like, I have no idea how I'm booking people. Like, I'm the
Yeah.
worst business guy ever. So I mean, when your work's that good, I guess it makes it easier. But yeah, that's cool. So like, watching him work, did anything stand out to you, or was it just more that you saw that you could make great photos?
So I think having him here, like we picked him up on the airport Wednesday evening before the weekend, and he stayed in our guest room. And I don't know if I was afraid to talk about photography with him, or if I just wanted him to be like, just be the photographer, and we can be friends instead, right? Because
Mhm.
I didn't want to hire him and just ask him a bunch of photography related questions.
Right.
That must be so tiring. So I just wanted him to be the photographer and not think about photography at all. And I don't think I thought about photography at all during the wedding day either. I just tried to enjoy the day and be with my wife and family and friends.
Okay, cool. So it wasn't
Yeah,
necessarily the watching him that got you inspired. It was more that you saw his work and
yeah,
realized
and also
what it could be.
I think the fact that like we hired him from the other side of the planet to come here, and he's just an amazing guy, and we just hung out with him. He took our photos, and it was just an experience. Right?
Mhm.
It's something I never looked at wedding photography in that way. So I guess that's the thing that I try to recreate after, like this experience of like just having everything under control,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah. So definitely focusing on your client experience, making it a good experience for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely something I've been trying to work on a lot. I would love it to get to a point where I only have like 10 clients that I treat like total royalty, right? And you could spend a week with them almost, you know?
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great. But, cool. And so after that, you started deciding to do your own weddings after yours, or was it taking a little bit of a delay or?
So in 1.5 years after, I attended his workshop at his home in California, and I really like pumped full of inspiration. I came home, I gathered, I think, in a folder of like 40 my 40 favorite wedding images up until then. I just put it on Facebook, and the title was like, "Are you getting married? I want to photograph your wedding." Right, and I put an ad on it, and during the course of 3 days, I got 33 inquiries. I
Oh,
booked 13 weddings in like 3 days. And in total, this was in 2014, I had 20 weddings in addition to my full-time, full day job. So I basically had 200% job in 2014. And then I used all of those weddings as stepping stone to the next. So after the first wedding, I edited the photos, I delivered them, and I revised, kind of looking at what didn't go so well this weekend. Like I was happy with the result, but what can I fine tune? So maybe the group photos. Okay, so next weekend I'll fine tune the group photos, and I really fix that. So next weekend I did that, edited, delivered, and I revised again. And I saw what can I improve next weekend, and so on and so on. It became an addiction, I guess,
yeah.
to try to find like one thing to improve in every wedding. So not just photographing the wedding, but have like something to fix or something to improve makes it a little bit more fun because you have a specific task to try to complete.
Yeah. And it keeps you from doing the same thing every time. Do you find
Yeah.
yourself maintaining that habit still now? Or is that something?
Uh, I try to as well as I can. Like there's always stuff to improve, and I try to give myself challenges before every wedding. So I have a specific thing to look for or a specific thing to do that wedding day, in addition to photograph it as I would.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Yeah, that's a good reminder. I did a good job of that early on in my career too. It was like every wedding, it was something new I had to try and something new, or I'd have 4 or 5 ideas, and if you could pull 2 or 3 of them off, you're getting better every wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
The goal. Yeah, and now that I'm finding myself getting closer and closer to just being like complacent, not necessarily the right word, but doing the same thing. So I gotta set time aside to say what are the things I need to work on,
Mm.
so that when the wedding pops up, you can say, all right, I'm going to pick from this list. I'm going to focus on these 3 things.
Yes, and I think it's healthy to switch things up a bit. Like I
Mhm.
tried leaving some lenses at home. I even that's a many years ago, but I left all my flashes at home, like
Oh wow, nice.
available light only, right? And just to try it, that's a stupid thing though. Like you should
Yeah,
always put flashes to weddings.
you should,
And
there's no lights.
yeah, simple stuff like leaving the 50 millimeter at home, or like this year is the first year I'm going to start shooting with a 35 millimeter. I've been 24, 50, and 85 forever. So I'm going to switch things up this year, and it'll be exciting. Just like playing and kind of evolving slowly.
Yeah, I like that idea because I've kind of gotten in a rut too where I'm like 35, 85 all the time. And I used to love shooting 50 and I would do like different combinations, but simple things like just switching up the lens you use could definitely help you see differently, especially during the lower pressure times like prep, like bride's getting ready, groom's getting ready. Like it's hard to screw
Yeah.
that up so you could play around. Yeah, I've kind of thought about doing the 24-50 combo and trying that out because I miss using my 50. And when I'm
I think
35, 85, I feel like there's never a reason to put the 50 on in a way.
mm,
So be interesting. So you'll just love the 35. Maybe you'll get hooked on it like me. It's like 90%
yeah.
of my shots now. I need to start mixing it up.
And that's the thing, like when I first like really started to get into wedding photography, everyone was shooting 35 and 85. And I was like, nope, I'm going to do 24 and 50. So I've been 24 and 50 since. And I think actually, yeah, we talked about Tyler a little bit. I think Tyler really pushed me to go for 35. So I'm going to try 35 and 85 this season.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a great go-to set. You'll like it. At first, you'll have to adjust because if you're used to 24 or 35, will feel tight. So I used to shoot 24-70 and then 50. I like that combo because then I could use the prime as much as I wanted. But then if I needed something else, I had the 24-70, so I could go really wide. And I found myself going all the way wide or all the way telephoto. So it was almost like having 25, 50, 70. I did that for like a year, and now I haven't in a while. So that sometimes is my engagement shoot setup. Maybe I'll do 24-70 and 50, so I can always have that 50 for most of my photos. But yeah, it's fun. Mix it up, new challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, accidentally leave all your stuff at home, and then you'll learn.
Yeah.
Cool. What would you say maybe is the biggest thing you want to work on or need to work on now? Like maybe biggest goals creatively this year.
I think like I've been working on this for a few years now, but the really meaningful photos, I think that's maybe it's a little loose term, but working on getting really close with my clients, understanding who the important people are in a proper way, like really read the family dynamic and understand like who am I supposed to really focus on or photograph instead of trying to just like cover the generality of the wedding. Try to really like make the meaningful photographs.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely, that's something I focused on the last few years, especially in regards to the couple and kind of just, you show up to the wedding day and you're watching who are they interacting with and who's being emotional and where are the good moments. But maybe trying to find a way to figure out who else is super important to them. Cause you assume everybody at the wedding is, but they've got a couple VIPs like, and sometimes it's somebody you might not expect, like their second cousin is like their best friend. And so you might not be paying attention to cousin as much if you didn't get to know the client. So I'll probably take that advice from you too and focus on expanding the circle of who's important and help.
Yeah, and I mean just by communication, like talking with your
Yeah.
client before the wedding and like actually asking them questions about it. And I don't know, like Norwegians are a little bit different than Americans, I guess, regarding openness and PDA, like public display of affection. Norwegians are a little bit more closed, I guess. And I think it's a little hard here to have people open up completely about emotions and stuff, like talk about which people are important and so on. I don't think they all the time understand why I'm asking those questions or what I'm actually looking for. So it's just like continuous job trying to
Yeah.
dig deeper, I guess.
You say culturally and they're much more stoic in Norway.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It's kind of interesting to see how different things were in different places. Like, is there anything crazy different about Norwegian weddings versus like American weddings? But then I guess you would have to know what American weddings are like, right? So
Yeah.
the question there.
I photographed a few American weddings. I think we have some Norwegian traditions, like a cute one or a funny one or maybe a boring one, because it happens in every wedding, is the guests start pinging the glass, and the bride and groom, they have to go up in the chair and kiss. And some weddings, they do it like 50
Yeah.
times. Right?
Start driving
That's,
them nuts.
yeah, very Norwegian thing. And there's a lot of speeches. In American weddings, I guess maybe 2 or 3 speeches, the bride's father and the best man, and like basically you're done. In Norway, easily 10, 15 speeches.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, every once in a while we'll have one like that. Or here, what'll happen every once in a while, the DJ's like, who else wants to talk? And then like you have like super drunk Aunt Gina comes up and it's just everybody's like, oh God, get the mic away from her.
I've never asked that question.
Yeah, as soon as I don't know if it's a new DJ or what, whenever they ask you, I'm like, don't do that. No, this is going to be bad. And yeah, the line just keeps going and it gets worse
Yeah.
and worse.
And I guess that's a difference too between American and Norwegian weddings. It's very common to have DJs in America, right? And they have the mic and they announce the couple and they announce the wedding party and so on. In Norway, there's rarely a DJ. Usually there's like a toastmaster, like one person that is in charge of like herding the people and introducing the speeches and so on.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to try to become a big star so I can go shoot a Norwegian wedding so I can find out how they are. Awesome. Cool. So what's your favorite thing about being a photographer or being a wedding photographer? Because now you've moved from bands to journalism to weddings. What do you like best?
It's hard to know what I like best. I think, okay, the best answer here is the community of other wedding photographers, I think. It's just amazing. I've made so many new friends that are also photographers because we are doing the same thing, and attending conferences and workshops and keeping in touch online. I think that's probably the best thing. And we're looking after each other and learning from each other, hanging out.
Yeah, I definitely love the photography community. I don't know what it is about photographers, but it feels like there's so many cool people. If we go to a conference, I like almost everybody I meet, or pretty much everybody I meet, versus if you go to a random other thing, you hit it off with some people, but it just, yeah, everybody seems so generous and open. A lot of shy people, so it takes a minute because we're all photographers, a lot of introverts. But then when you start hanging out, there's just a lot of cool perspectives that people have. Because I think it's a cool combination between creatives, which are kind of open-minded and interesting, but we're also business-minded, so we're still a little bit down to earth. So it's that perfect combination, I think, that makes everybody so interesting and likable.
And also, photography is a very lonely way of
Yeah.
work. So maybe we go to conference like, be my
Yeah,
friends.
I think that's what it is too. We're so excited to meet people. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I was
Oh, you like the same thing as me? Come here.
I was like, cameras? What? I never thought that'd be possible. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Cool. I was definitely a lot of fun learning about your backstory and getting into photography. Some parallels that I had as well. So it was cool to see. I'd like next thing you shared a couple of photographs with me, and I'll pull up so we can talk a little bit more about your photography and your photography style. I guess while I'm pulling them up, how would you describe your style as a photographer? And we've talked a little bit about connection being really important.
Yeah, I really defined my photography. I wrote down what my photography looks like, and really try to hone in on what is an Eirik photo, basically. So by defining that for myself when I'm out shooting, that's kind of what I'm looking for. So in theory, every photo I'm taking is like an Eirik photo.
Okay, cool.
So it's very like connection is a huge thing, playfulness, creative stuff, colors or really bright colors, and like artsy fartsy stuff, and like some really cool, colorful artsy pieces that my clients can hang on their wall instead of quote unquote just like a wedding photo where they're hugging each other or standing close.
Yeah, definitely. So I definitely pick up on the color in your work, for sure. So let's pull up the first photo. Is it showing up for you?
Yep.
All right, cool. So, and then if you're just doing the audio only version and you want to see the photos, when you go to don'tfeedthephotographers.com, you can see the episode show notes. So the first photo, he has a couple standing out in front of a lake with mountains behind him. So yeah, definitely go check it out if you can't see it. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So the story about this photo is this is taken early spring in 2016, and it was my first like full year as like I quit my job in 2015. So this was my first year as just a photographer. Like this is my sole income or sole source of income. Whew, my Norwenglish is creeping through a little bit. Sorry.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's definitely better than my Norwegian.
So I saw all the foreign couples going to Iceland and all these hotshot photographers going to Iceland photographing. And I thought, hey, I live 1 hour from fjords and mountains, and I don't have a single photo of this in my portfolio. So it started with a month. I had a completely empty calendar. It was like, damn it, I have nothing, like not a single shoot, nothing. So I have to invent something. I have to create something that I can use and blog and possibly sell. So my aim with this was to have photos of couples in the mountains and fjords and the landscape, and try to attract foreign clients coming here. So instead of them going to Iceland, I wanted them to come to Norway.
Mm.
And this photo in particular, or this shoot, it actually ended up exactly how I wanted it to end up, because just a week after I posted this on my blog and social media, a couple from Sri Lanka contacted me. They live in Canada, and they were coming to Norway, and they saw my photos.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted to come where I live so I can take them here and do the same thing. So it was my very best version of, what is it called, like a return on investment, or action resulting in results.
Yeah, definitely a good return to work so fast on your first time of showing what you like to shoot.
So because of that, I photographed this Sri Lankan couple, and then it just kind of escalated from there. I have one of the other photos has a similar story. Yeah, take the starry sky photo. So this is also kind of the same approach, where at the end of the night, I was finished at the wedding, and the couple was drunk and tired, and I kind of packed my bags, gave them a big hug. Thank you, like you'll hear back from me soon. I left the building and I saw this amazing starry sky, and I just dropped my bags and ran right back in. And I said, hey guys, you have to come with me outside. We have to try to make a photo with the starry sky. And they were kind of reluctant, like we're tired, we just want to go home or go to bed. And I really tried to encourage them. I almost forced them, like, you really have to come. So it was all for selfish reasons, because I wanted to have more night shots in my portfolio. I've done a lot of night shots before this, but not really with people and in a wedding scenario like this. Mm-hmm. So this was kind of my opportunity to really get the shot. So after a lot of convincing, I made them go down to the beach with no lights around and just really do this photograph. And because of this, I've got a lot of national and international press. It has resulted in a lot of foreign clients contacting me, or foreign couples, bringing me all over Norway, places I would never been if it wasn't for my photography, and also to other countries to photograph them in other countries. So it's funny to see now, a couple of years later, and try to backtrack, like, where is this actually coming from? It really results in this photo where I saw something like a need for something to fill my portfolio with that I can use to sell. And then, yeah, the chain of events that happened after.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I'm glad it all worked out so well for you. But yeah, that's stunning amount of stars you get. I was going to ask where it would be. So on a beach, there's not much city light nearby you, it doesn't look like.
Yeah, this is like 20 minutes from the nearest city, I guess. So at the beach, there are like no lights at all.
Yeah, especially looking out. So you're looking out at the ocean and
yes,
get a killer sky like that. That's awesome. Did you have, how much of a exposure did you have to do? Like how
I think this is 20 seconds or 30 seconds. I learned after this on the 24 millimeter, the 500 rule. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
So this is slightly longer than the 500 rule. So the stars are not like tack sharp.
Yeah, but it adds a little bit more of a dreaminess. But yeah, I didn't. It looks like they're pretty sharp for that long of an exposure. So, would you were tripod on a tripod then?
Tripod and a flash behind them that also lit up the beach in front of them. That's why they are lit in the front, I guess. I just cut off their legs so the beach is not kind of in the composition.
Yeah, distracting. It would be probably the light. Well, awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's great to see. I know they keep hearing the, show what you want to shoot. If you want to be shooting Norwegian landscapes, you got to be getting Norwegian landscapes in your portfolio. So that's the biggest challenge, right? The chicken and egg thing almost for a photographer. If you want to get the client, you got to show the client. And then, like same thing with multicultural weddings. I'm trying to get a lot more of that. And in the beginning, you got any multicultural weddings in your portfolio. So how are they going to hire you? So got to, like, I don't know, find a friend or do something for free, bring some models out.
Yeah, I think it's important to do it for the right reasons, and you need to have a purpose with it. If you're shooting for free for the sake of shooting for free, like, you will never get anything out of it. But if you have a marketing strategy behind it, or like a business strategy where this image or this wedding or this particular thing fits in, then like it might just be the missing link for you to actually move forward.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then this couple, when you showed it to them, were they happy you dragged them out after?
Yes, actually, they both told me it's their favorite photo now. But at the time, it was not so funny.
Yeah, it was like,
I was very gentle. Like I try to communicate well with my clients, and they got it, and they understood. Like, if I'm very excited about something, usually my clients are like, "Yes, we want to make this work for you," because they know it may result in something cool.
Mm-hmm. And that is for sure. You got to pull it off. If they're like, "I don't want to do it," and you're dragging us out there, it better be good.
Yes. But actually, speaking about Jeff, he taught me like a fail-safe sentence to use in that scenario. If you ask your client, if you say, "Hey guys, I have an idea. I'm not sure if it's going to work out, but do you want to try?" So you kind of give it back to them and make it their decision. And usually they always say yes, but if it doesn't work, you also said, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but.
Yeah, and it almost adds an allure, like a challenge, right? I don't know if it's going to work, but if it does, it's going to be awesome. So you want to try? Sure. All right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I when I'm trying something new and I know I'm struggling a little bit or trying to figure it out, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work, but if it works, it's either going to be really terrible or it's going to be amazing. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then it works, and you're like, and then when they see me get excited when I look at it, I'm like, sweet. I'm like, I'm not supposed to act surprised. Like, I know what I'm doing here. But yeah, I do that all the time when I try something new and it works. I'm like, sweet. Like, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I expected that. But yeah, cool. And then this third one, you have a couple in front of these amazing pillars. This looks like a very grand location.
This is Pantheon in Rome. So I chose this photo because it's about communication and kind of establishing like an authority for your clients. Because if it wasn't for me and my advice, this photo would never happen. Nice. So this is a Singaporean client, and we photographed in around Italy and a few other countries. We basically made a road trip out of it. It was crazy, and that's a different story. But they wanted to photograph in Rome, and the first thing I said was no. I've been to Rome many times, and there are tourists everywhere. All the photos that you want to take, I know that they won't happen. Like, it won't be like you envision it, because there will be people all over the place. But they said they really wanted it. So I said, okay, what if we get up at 4 a.m. to do hair and makeup and be prepared and ready before 6 a.m. So we walk out before sunrise and start shooting until like the morning hours when people start walking the streets. And they accepted, like, yeah, let's do that. Like, let's really work for this. So we walked outside, and it was surreal. Like, there was no people outside. We had Rome entirely for ourselves.
Nice.
And we went around the corner, and suddenly we were in front of like the piazza in front of Pantheon. No people. We could hear our footsteps as we were walking towards, like the echoing from the buildings around. And I thought, wow, I have this amazing, majestic building in front of me. We have to make something out of it. And first I did a shot with a 24 millimeter, and the columns are like, the perspective is all skewed. And actually I should have sent you that photo too, but it's like, I was thinking 24, wide angle, majestic, like huge, but it didn't really turn out how I wanted it to. And then I switched to the 85, stepped back, and I just squared up all the lines and the columns and made a much more, I think, majestic photo because of it.
Yeah, very clean and geometric. I like it. That's really cool. That's a good tip. There's one location in Atlanta that's like, they actually kick you out, but a lot of people want to shoot there. So, but if you go before they open, you can kind of get away with it if you're willing to go at like 6 a.m. So yeah, that's probably a good tip. When you have really cool locations, just be willing to get up early for tourists. Or right now we could travel the world and get like, we could get the Taj Mahal, nobody in it, or you get the Coliseum with nobody in it.
Yeah.
So crazy. I drove by my mall down here and there's the parking lot's empty and it's like, it's just surreal. It's like zombie apocalypse. So cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing those. I think it gave a good insight. I definitely like your style and all this work that you shared with us. Cool. So I guess the last thing to transition out, now that we talked about your work and whatnot, maybe some of your biggest takeaways with business. I think you've given some good insight with, learning about your clients and stuff. And maybe what's either your biggest struggle or biggest like lesson that you've learned as being in your own business over the last few years?
What's my biggest lesson?
I guess interesting way to, not the best way to ask, but any challenges or maybe your biggest thing that you've learned as being a solo entrepreneur about business versus photography.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think business, okay, let's rewind. I think a lot of photographers start photography because it's cool or they like photography, right? And then they start a business because the people start paying them money or asking them to do photo shoots, right? That's a very common transition into becoming a photographer. And I think a lot of photographers stop there. They keep taking pictures, but they don't really evolve any business skills, right? And that's why we see so many photographers, they charge too little and they exist for maybe 2 or 3 years and they disappear, right? They find something different to do. So I think learning about business has been my biggest thing to work on. Like, you can always fine tune and hone on your photography, but if your business thing is not in place, then you don't have anything to shoot, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I actually answered the question.
No, that's a good question. Yeah. I was all mumbly and jumbly, I guess. Too much time in the cabin with the kids and
yes.
to survive. All of a sudden, I forgot how to talk for a second. But yeah, no, definitely focusing on the business. I definitely, people that make it definitely learn that along the way, that you have to focus on the business side of it.
Elaborate on that. I really think if you see some of the most successful photographers around the world or in the wedding industry, many of the photos you're seeing, technically, you could probably do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a spectacular image, but the client paid them, I don't know, $10,000 to shoot a wedding, right?
Right.
So they figured out something about the business side that you and I maybe haven't, right? So if you can find a way to provide value and be the ultimate server.
Yeah, definitely.
Right word? Yeah, to really provide value for your clients, your prices can really increase, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely what business is all about, is providing value. Definitely. Definitely trying to gear the mindset to, when you want to raise your prices, what can you do to be worth that higher price? You have to give more to get more. It's a good thing to remember. It's interesting about the idea of all these people, they're doing photography for fun, and then you charge too little because you don't know, you're just doing it for fun. And it's kind of interesting. I was listening to a Mike Rowe. He's an American TV host, talks about dirty jobs and stuff. But the danger of following your passion, because everybody always recommends following your passion. And the plus side is that you will put up with a lot of bullcrap in order to keep going. Like, you're not going to quit as easy. That is definitely a plus side. But then the downside is people do a lot of stupid things because it's their passion. So I'll do a wedding for $500, because I just want to do it. Well, and so you got to be careful not to let the passion take over for the business sense.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Have you found now that you had to learn business to do it, that you've found that part of it as enjoyable as a photography, like kind of as its own hobby in a way?
I don't think accounting will ever be
I
anything
know.
that I would be interested in.
Yeah, same.
Uh, that's one of the things that I did before I quit my day job to pursue this as a like, full-time business. I really invested a lot of time in learning about business and sales and marketing, and I attended a lot of non-photography workshops, like not photography related at all, just to learn basic business things.
Mhm.
And I think you have to like it. If you don't like it, you have to find a way to pay someone else to do it for you, and then you have to just make more money in the other end to be able to afford that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
So finding that balance and making a little bit so that you can pay somebody that frees up your time to do the stuff that you do like. So ultimately your goal is to get to a point where you're only doing what you like and then other people are taking care of the dirty work. But yeah, definitely the accounting and the busy work part of business, taxes and all that. Yeah, that's not fun. But I do enjoy the sales and the strategy part. I find very invigorating as well.
Mm.
It's such a challenging business with so much competition. It just gives you a lot to think about. Like if you were selling plumbing, maybe it'd be easier. Marketing, you wouldn't have to be that good. Photography, you really got to learn your marketing.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when everyone is marketing exactly the same way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a lot of
Mm.
people, they learn what works and then everybody copies it and it doesn't work anymore. You have to
Mm.
be ahead of the curve. That's definitely one of the tricks of business is how can you be ahead of the curve?
Yeah, everyone is so hung up in SEO and want to have this perfect SEO website so they get found, but they forget about the content. Like
Right.
you need to have valuable and interesting content so that people actually like get something out of landing on your site.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely getting that conversion. There's so many steps. And that's actually one of the things that is so challenging about being a solopreneur but that's also the exciting part is you have to learn so many things. Like
Mm.
there's so many steps in the chain that determine how successful you're going to be. And if you completely drop any of them, you're out of business. And if you're really good at one of them, it might help, but you got to be at least competent in all of those steps. Like you got to attract clients and you got to convert the clients and you got to serve the clients and you got to put
Mm.
more photography. So it's like all these steps. Um, but I think that's great because I like to learn. So giving you a challenge every day, basically, has been a fun part. But cool.
Yeah.
And before the show, we were mentioning, again, this is more timely versus evergreen, is talking about what you've done to kind of adapt with this craziness that we're going on. But it actually is a good lesson going forward on how to be adaptable, I think is the way that you put it. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what you've done in response to all of a sudden the whole wedding world shutting down. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, most wedding photographers probably feel the same. Like it's super scary, and suddenly events are canceled, and venues they can't host weddings anymore, and people are like all over the place. So I thought, how can I survive this? How can I still keep the cash flow going and not like pay my bills, basically, right? So I've been doing a lot of mentoring and workshops and courses and that stuff for the past few years, but I just thought on Friday, just before this weekend, why why can't I just make a basic photography course for like anyone, not for photographers at all? Here in Norway, everyone is kind of quarantined. They're home with kids. They have a home office. The kids are not in school. They're like over each other all the time. And it's also historically a very interesting point in time. Like, do you remember in 2020 when everyone was staying indoor for like 3 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever?
Mhm.
And to teach someone to take better photos of their kids or their family and actually kind of document this time in history, that's fantastic. So I basically put together a small, easy 1 hour photo course teaching, focusing light and composition,
Mhm.
basically. And I wanted to not only have myself earn money, but kind of try to help other small businesses in the same boat as me, because bands and hair salons and restaurants, like all small businesses are in the same boat, right? So I made this thing very cheap, like $25, and people could sign up just with the PayPal link on my website. And for every 30 attendee that bought the course, I made a raffle to give back like $120, just doing the rough calculations in my head. So some of the attendees won these gift cards that I paid directly to another small business. So it couldn't be like a big chain like McDonald's or anything, but small business in the same boat as us. So by that, trying to make a win-win-win situation where I earn money, the attendees, they learn photography and they can win gift cards, and other small businesses, they also get paid right now. So I'm actually paid yesterday and the day before. I paid another photographer, a band or an artist is going to have a show on Sunday online, a small restaurant, and a hair salon. So they got paid money. So 20% of my income went straight back there. And I think people really want to support that. So in addition to learn to be a better photographer or take better photos with their phones, I would say, not being a photographer. In addition to learn that, they're also supporting not just me, but other businesses as well.
Yeah, I definitely like that. So everybody's stuck at home, nothing to do. So they're going to be motivated to learn something, and then they get to help somebody. So I definitely, the win-win-win. I really like that idea. So I'm sure a bunch of photographers are going to hear that and try to copy it, try it for themselves and help their own community.
Yeah, please do it. I mean, I had 100 people last night on this 1 hour long course, and it's like, it doesn't take that much. Like, you're already a photographer, you know how light and composition works. So just teach it in the most simple way you can to other like normal people that aren't photographers. And I think people will jump on.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun because I've thought about putting together a course because I used to teach photography in middle school. And so one of the things would be to learn how to do it on your cell phone because we didn't have 30 cameras. So I always thought it'd be kind of fun to do a class for like my friends and stuff that online that wanted to learn. So now it's a perfect excuse to give it a shot. So yeah, I was kind of considering it myself, but I like your idea of the way to tie in the giving back. So I think I'm gonna try it, and hopefully I'll do as well as you did. For sure.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, reach out in your community, and it will start with your family and friends probably, and then like people that know your work as a photographer, and then like it will just evolve. It's such a goodwill thing that people will enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing that inspiration, and hopefully you'll have an impact on your local community, and then the 100 photographers that do it as well, their community will be helped. So it's cool. It's a great way to find a way because it's hard to think, how can I give back as a photographer stuck at home? You know, that's a really cool way. And then as a business lesson, even though when coronavirus is all over, just the idea of like being creative and thinking on your feet when instead of hiding in a corner when your business gets a challenge, like what can I do to adapt?
Yeah, I think that's kind of where my inspiration came from, because I saw a lot of photographers complain, you know, like they were afraid and they complained. And especially here in Norway, they complained about the government not making any solution for paying them, you know, like as if they should just receive money for, you know, we have to find a way to provide value and see how we can adapt in a situation like this.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, definitely. I'm very glad we had that conversation. I think that's going to help a lot of people when hopefully we get lots of people listening and they'll take some of that advice and at least learn to adapt a little bit and improve their situation. So cool, man. I've definitely enjoyed learning a lot about your photography. I know I'd like to give you a chance to talk a little bit about the mentoring that you do, because I saw you posting about that. And if people are looking for learning from you, I'll share in the show notes where they can find you and learn more about your mentoring and your teaching stuff.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I transitioned over to online mentoring because I had a lot of physical photography courses before, but most common excuse is that people don't have time, or oh, it's on daytime, oh I can't, oh it's in the evening, oh I can't, oh it's in the weekdays, I can't. You know, there's always an excuse. So by doing it online, then it's much more accessible. And I started doing more like business related courses for photographers, because there are so much photography courses out there. Learn how to take better photos or how to pose with couples or whatever. So I wanted to try to teach other photographers to run a profitable business. And last year I started to have a 12-week long group mentoring program. It was very successful. So this year I made it into an English version. So try to approach the world market, I guess. Norway, the entire population is like 5 million. That's a medium-sized city in America, I guess.
Mm.
So it's very limited to that that number if I'm speaking in Norwegian. So by providing in English, I'm reaching out to a broader market, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's good. What's been your favorite part about mentoring?
I think making people realize how simple it can be. Like, people are overcomplicating things a lot and making it so much harder than it has to be. If you just like really hone it down or tone it down to a very simple strategy, then it's so much easier to follow.
Yeah, definitely.
People think they have to do everything all the time, but like, keep it to your thing and do your thing and like elevate that.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. I think hopefully people stuck all the way through the end, because that's a very big gold nugget. I needed that too, because that's my biggest weakness is I'll think of the 50 things I could do or want to do, and then I don't narrow it down, and then I don't do a good job at any of them. So sometimes you got to really take an effort in focusing and saying, this is my objective for this week, and I'm going to go all out at it. Yeah, simplifying for sure.
Cool. So if people want to learn more from me or check out this, then I'll give you a link. They can drop your email and we can get in touch from there.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a very easy guy to talk to and a very fun person to hang out with. So I'm sure.
Likewise.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend spending some time with Eirik if you were looking for a mentor. But anyway, Eirik, thanks so much for spending the hour with us and talking photography. I definitely really enjoyed it. Got some good advice from you. And it's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Definitely stay safe over there. Hopefully it doesn't get too crazy.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Awesome. Thanks so much, Eirik.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the show and listening to me talk to Eirik. What a great guy. It was great to talk to him. I love chatting with all you photographers out there. So if you are stuck at home in quarantine and have nothing to do and you'd like to get on this show, please reach out to me at don'tfeedthephotographers.com or joshuagrosso.com. You can get in touch with me and let me know you'd like to be in the show. Share the episode if you liked it. Like, comment on iTunes, those kind of things to help the show grow. We'd love it to keep getting bigger so more and more photographers can be heard and you have more great, wonderful things to listen to. All right. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Stay strong out there, everybody. We're going to get through this just fine. And see you next time on Don't Feed the Photographers Photography Podcast.